Hey guys, and welcome to week 5 of the P4G next generation. This week we're facing GeneralTarheel, coach of the Charlotte Charizards. Tarheel has a really scary team. I really think this might actually be the first match we lose because I don't really have the best matchup against him, I feel like. So let's start off with breaking down his team. His first one is Kyurem B. I pretty much have 0 switches for that thing. My best switches are probably Empoleon and Aromatisse. But Empoleon dies to Fusion Bolt and Aromatisse dies, well, not dies to, but takes a lot from Iron Head or Flash Cannon. And he could also bring a Z Crystal since he did draft the ICMZ, so he could just fire off a Sub-Zero Slammer with his Kyurem. He's gonna bring Kyurem for sure. That thing is just such a good matchup against my team, I feel like. It does lack a bit of speed, but it pretty much has monstrous attack stats, defense stats, pedef stats, just everything. It can also run a number of different sets, like a bulky Roost set or just full offensive of Life Orb, and as I said, the Z Crystal. So yeah, that thing is just a monster. I really gotta watch out for that thing. Next up is Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen is another one I don't really have any good switch-ins for. The problem with Nidoqueen as well is that it can be run either defensive or offensive. Also, it gets a number of good coverage moves like Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Flamethrower. It also gets T-Spikes and Stealth Rocks. So yeah, that thing is really scary. I really see him bring Nidoqueen as well. Next up is Blastoise. Blastoise is actually not too bad of a Pokemon. It is pretty bulky. It is a rapid spinner. With a Z Crystal he might be able to run Z Blizzard or something. I don't really see him bring Blastoise, but it could definitely be an option. He also has Cobalion or Cobalion, not sure how to pronounce that mon's name, but that thing can be pretty scary. It checks Bisharp unless I run a fighting type move. Fighting plus steel type stab is just really scary for my team in general. Cobalion is also another Stealth Rock setter he has, so that's something to keep in mind. Next up is Gligar. Gligar is pretty much always gonna run an Eviolite, since that thing allows it to be pretty bulky. It has really good base defense. I could definitely see him bring Gligar for Lopunny. Gligar also gets Rocks and Defog, as well as reliable recovery in Roost. Yeah, that thing can be pretty scary and hard to take down, especially with the Eviolite. Next up is Lantern. Lantern is a maybe. I could see him bringing it, but not entirely sure. Lantern has pretty good Spadef, I'm pretty sure, and coupled with an AV, it can be really bulky. It is also able to fire off slow Volt switches, can go for Scald, try to burn you, but it also gets Heal Bell. Now we get to his Mega Pokemon, and that is Mega Diancie. In my opinion, it's definitely one of the best Mega Pokemon in existence. It just hits so hard. It has really good speed, really good attack. It also has the magic bounce ability, so I really gotta watch out with setting up rocks once that thing is mega evolved. It also outspeeds the majority of my team, so yeah, that thing is really scary. It hits so hard. I really gotta watch out for that thing because I'm, well, pretty much 100% sure he's gonna bring it. Next though is Shaymin. Shaymin could be a bring. An offensive Shaymin can hit really hard. It also gets pretty good coverage moves like Dazzling Gleam and Air Slash. So yeah, offensive Shaymin could really put in work, especially with Seed Flare and Def drops. Another option could be a more defensive Shaymin with Leech Seed Synthesis. But yeah, Shaymin is a pretty good mon, 100 base in each of its stats, so definitely something to watch out for. Another mon I gotta watch out for is Entei, because that thing is a definite bring. I've said it in the past, but I really got no good fire type switch-ins on my team, and Banded Flare Blitz just decimates my entire team. It also has Sacred Fire for those burns, E-Speed, a really good priority move. So yeah, Entei is definitely scary in this matchup. Next up is Alolan Persian. I definitely think he's gonna bring this thing because it is his only Psychic switch-in. On his entire team he only has one Psychic immunity, and that is this thing. So yeah, I definitely think he has to bring it, otherwise Latios can put in a lot of work against him. And now we get to his last mon, and that is Excelgor. Excelgor is actually a mon he could bring as well, because it's really fast, it outspeeds my entire team. So he might want to make use of that by outspeeding Latios and going for a Bug Buzz or U-turn. But most often you're gonna see Excelgor with his Focus Sash as a lead, setting up spikes and all that stuff. But yeah, that's it for his team. Let's go right to my team right now. So starting off, we're bringing Mega Lopunny this week. It is just a really good matchup against his team, I feel like. It basically hits everything with High Jump Kick. His best switches for High Jump Kicks are Nidoqueen and Gligar, but I do have Return and Ice Punch for those two. I'm also bringing Fake Out. That's basically against a potential Excelgor lead, so I can break its sash. Also having Priority is just really nice. As for my EVs though, I'm bringing 228 in speed. That way I outspeed what it called, Alolan Persian by 1 point. So yeah, because of that we can just run Adamant, max attack, 20 in HP, 4 in defense, 4 in SPDEF, just try to spread those out a bit. But yeah, nothing too special about Megalopony again, it should put in a lot of work, I feel like. But for my next man we're bringing Chandelure this week again, because he doesn't really have a good go switch in, only Alolan Persian really. So we're bringing Choice Scarf Chandelure this week, that way we can pretty much outspeed his entire team except Scarfers. That will be really useful against Diancie and Kyurem. We're also bringing Flash Fire so Entei can't really touch us. If it's locked into a fire type move, that will be really useful. As for our moves, we're bringing Flamethrower because I really don't want to miss and I feel like we don't really need the power Fire Blast provides. Shadow Ball of course because as I said doesn't really have a good go switch, and Energy Ball is there for the Diancie and the Lantern and also the Blastoise, and HP Ice is there to OHKO the Gligar. As for our EVs, we're bringing enough speed so we can outspeed a Scarf Nidoqueen because Nidoqueen hits a speed of 140 maximum, I'm pretty sure. Also max protect to hit as hard as possible, and the remainder just in HP. So now we go to our third mon, and that is Latios. As I said, he doesn't have a good Psychic switch and only Alolan Persian, so Latios just has to be brought. We're bringing Spec so we can hit his team just really hard with Psychic. If Alolan Persian is gone, we can pretty much put in work with Latios. We're bringing Draco Meteor because we need it for Kyurem and it hits his team very hard. Psychic of course, Energy Ball for the Diancie, Lantern and well pretty much the Blastoise, basically the same as Chandelure. But also Defog, even though with Choice Specs we might need to defog something away. I didn't have a defogger on this team and Latios was pretty much my only mon I could put defog on. As for our EVs, we're bringing Max Speed Timid, that way we speed tie with Max Speed Timid Diancie, Max Attack and 4 in defense. Next up is Aromatisse. I really wanted to bring Aromatisse because it's basically my best thing for Kyurem as I said earlier. We're bringing Citrus Berry instead of the leftovers. I thought the immediate recovery from Citrus Berry would be better than just longevity really. I feel like we have to switch into Kyurem's moves pretty often, so I really thought the Citrus Berry would be nice for that. As for our moves, we're bringing Moonblast because we need it, main step. Psychic is there for a potential Nidoqueen switch in. Even though Nidoqueen, I think it OHKOs us with Sludge Wave if it's offensive. We might be able to catch it on a switch in with Psychic, that's pretty much what I'm banking on. And Wish and Protect just for support. Protect is also kind of there to scout for choice users or maybe to take a Z move from Kyurem better. As for our EVs, we're bringing max HP, max defense, pretty much the standard stuff. With this investment we take Iron Head from Kyurem better. A Flash Cannon from Kyurem will do even less than Iron Head even though we're max defense, so I didn't really need to put anything in SPDEF. But yeah, that's it for Aromatisse. Next up is Poseidon the Empoleon. We're bringing Shaka Berry this week because with a Shaka Berry we can take Earth Powers from Diancie better and just OHKO it with Flash Cannon. We're also bringing Scald because it's pretty much the best water move ever, I feel like. Flash Cannon is also there for the Kyurem by the way, so it hits that. We're also bringing Stealth Rock on Empoleon. I really wanted Rocks because it will really be useful against the Kyurem as well as the Entei, so Rocks are pretty important. And also Aqua Jet. I really thought the Aqua Jet priority could come in clutch against the Nidoqueen or the, what's it called, the Diancie. So yeah, Aqua Jet is there for that pretty much. As for our EVs, we're bringing just Max SPDEF to take moves from Diancie better. I don't really have anything in defense because it isn't really necessary. Fusion Bolt from Kyurem will always two-shot us, so it wasn't really necessary. I'd rather put more in SPDEF so I can move from Diancie better, since Empoleon is pretty much our designated Diancie switch in. We're bringing Sassy instead of Calm though, so we can hit harder with Aqua Jet, so that is pretty nice. I don't really need the speed, I feel like. But yeah, that's it for Empoleon, and our last one we're bringing is Scorpio the Gliscor. So initially I wasn't going to bring Gliscor, but I really needed a switch into Cobalion, and Scorpio is pretty much my only reliable switch into that thing. It also handles Gligar pretty well. Gligar can't really touch us unless that thing packs Ice Fang as well. So we're bringing a pretty offensive Gliscor this week instead of a more defensive set, because I really thought an offensive Gliscor handles his team pretty well. We're bringing EQ is our main step. Ice Fang is there for Gligar. Sword stands to hit harder and Root for longevity. We're bringing 124 speed with a what's called a Jolly Nature, that way we outspeed max speed Nidoqueen. And I also put 188 attack EVs into Gliscor, that way we have a guaranteed 2-hit KO on a max defense Nidoqueen after Black Sludge recovery. The remainder of our EVs were just put in HP and defense, take moves from Cobalion better. 140 in HP because our HP will be dividable by 8 then. And yeah, just a remainder in defense. Gliscor is also able to take one move from Entei from full, so we might be able to make use of that and OHKO it with Earthquake. I'm not sure if Earthquake OHKOs Entei, but it definitely does a lot. So yeah, that's it for my team, so let's get right to the battle. Okay, so here we are with the match. First I want to give a big shout out to Blue Rogue for joining my team and recording this match. But now though, let's have a look at the team my opponent brought this week. He brought a Nidoqueen, Kyurem, a Alolan Persian, Entei, Lantern and a Mega Diancie. So a lot of scary things. I did expect a lot of those things though. He did bring the Persian though, that kinda sucks. Because now I can't just spam Psychic, so it's too bad he brought a Persian, but he also brought a Lantern. I didn't really saw it coming, but it was definitely something that could be brought, I guess. But for my lead though, I decided to lead Latios, as Latios was pretty much my best check against a potential Nidoqueen lead, as nothing else on my team has a good matchup against it. So that is what I decided to do. I led off with Latios, as he does in fact lead off with the Nidoqueen, so that is a pretty good lead for me. I can just threaten this thing with a Psychic. I could go for the Draco Meteor in case he wants to switch into the Persian, but I just wanted to go for the safe Psychic. I didn't think he would go into the Persian, risking a Draco Meteor. He switches into the Lantern though, so I am able to get a Choice Specs boosted Psychic off against this thing. And as you guys can see, it actually doesn't do a lot, so that pretty much confirms this thing is Assault Vest. Now Assault Vest Lantern might carry Ice Beam, so I switch out Scouting for that, go into Aromatisse, as it's able to take pretty much anything it wants to throw at me. And he does reveal the Ice Beam, so I am able to take that pretty nicely, and he goes for the Vultures afterwards. I just went for the Wish, since I could go for Protect afterwards and just get healed up all the way again. But now he's back into the Nidoqueen again, and as I said, again, I don't have a good switch in for this thing. So this turn I just go for the Protect just to scout whatever it wants to throw at me. But he actually switches again right here and goes into the Diancie as I go for Protect. So now that isn't really a big problem because I do have Empoleon in the back, which is a pretty solid switch into this thing. So that is what I decide to do. I switch out right here into the Empoleon, as this Diancie Mega evolves in a minute, and I think it goes for the Diamond Storm. I'm not really sure though, but Empoleon is able to take that pretty well because it is resisted. And if the Diancie wanted to go for the Earth Power, I did have the Shocka Berry for that, so it wasn't really a big problem. Empoleon takes any of its moves pretty well. Yeah, I did go for the Diamond Storm as I said. Diamond Storm actually did quite a lot to Empoleon. It did 50 HP, so a bit surprising in my opinion. Here though I make a prediction. I predicted the switch into the Lantern, as it's pretty much his best switch in against my Empoleon. So I actually made a double and doubled right into my Lopunny. Yeah, Plague Roll the Lopunny. And now I'm pretty much able to just scare him out and really put some pressure up against his team. I go for the High Jump Kick right here, as it's able to OHKO the Lantern, but he switches right out into this into his Nidoqueen, which is able to resist my High Jump Kick. So I probably should have went for the Return, but I didn't want to risk him staying in, Return not OHKOing the Lantern, and him getting a Scald Burn. That wasn't worth the risk. I went for High Jump Kick as I said. And as you guys can see, Nidoqueen takes it with ease, so that pretty much confirms this thing is defensive. Here I decided to just stay in, as I am able to 2-hit KO this thing with Return, and I don't have a good switch in for this thing. But I do get a crit with the Return, leaving him at like 1% or something. But he does reveal the Ayapapa Berry, so this crit kinda worked against me because now he is out of range for another Return. So it would have been better for me if he didn't get the crit. I am able to lift the Poison Jab though, so I switch out right here. I don't want Lopunny to get further weakened. And go to the Gliscor. I didn't think he would go for the Ice Beam on my Lopunny. He goes for the Earth Power actually, so that's even better for me. Scorpio is in right now, and I EV'd Scorpio to outspeed this Nidoqueen even at max speed. And EV'd it as well to 2-hit KO max defense Nidoqueen. So I go for the Earthquake. I just want to take this thing out, and I am able to knock out the Nidoqueen. So that is really nice for me. Nidoqueen is gone, and it was a major threat to the team. So I'm really glad it's dead right now. But now the Kyurem comes in, and I still need to preserve my Gliscor, because I feel like it can still do some things, and it's also full HP. So I switch out right here into my Aromatisse, because Aromatisse was pretty much designed to take on this Kyurem. He goes for the Fusion Bolt, actually predicting my switch into the Empoleon, but I didn't, so good thing I didn't go into Empoleon. I am able to take the Fusion Bolt relatively well, but it still does a lot, just shows the power of Kyurem. He switches out right here as I go for the Moonblast. Entei comes in right here, which is able to resist my Moonblast, so that kinda sucks. I think I do get a crit though this turn, so that was a good thing, I guess. About 25% it did to the Entei, so that is really nice. I go for the Protect right here just to scout whatever it wants to do. I think it's Choice Banded, so if he decides to lock himself into a Fire type move, I can go into Chandelure afterwards. And he did go for the Flare Blitz, so that is a pretty free switch into the Chandelure. It would have been a bit of a problem though if he wasn't banded and went for the Stone Edge right here. But as you guys can see in a minute after the shiny animation, he does go for the Flare Blitz. And I do get a Flash Fire boost, so now I pretty much force him out right here and go for the Shadow Ball. He does switch out, so that pretty much confirms he's banded again, which I kind of already knew. He goes back into the Lantern again as I go for the Shadow Ball. This thing is Assault Vest though, so it will be able to take the Shadow Ball pretty well. I do get the Spadef drop, so that kinda inspired me to stay in, I guess. Go for the Shadow Ball again as I am able to two-shot this thing. He goes for the Scald. I am able to live the Scald. I calced it, that's why I stayed in. Lumiere is kinda low right now, but I am able to knock it out with a second Shadow Ball, but he decides to preserve his Lantern and switches out into the Alolan Persian, taking my Shadow Ball as it's resisted. So now I have to switch out again. Yeah, as you guys can see, Shadow Ball doesn't do a lot to this Persian, and he does reveal the leftovers as well, so I have to switch out right here. I can't take a knockoff or any other dark type move, so I switch out into my Aromatisse. It's able to pretty much take any of this Persian's moves. I think he goes for the Parting Shot right here. Yeah, he goes for Parting Shot, so he does have to switch initiative right now, which isn't good for me. My stats drop, of course, and he goes into the... He switches into the... I can't remember, the Mega Diancie. I think Suyin is the Mega Diancie. So that isn't too bad at all. I can just go into Empoleon again. Empoleon is getting kind of weakened though because of the Mega Diancie, so I have to keep that in mind. Empoleon comes in as he goes for the Moonblast this time. Moonblast doesn't do a lot because I am max Spadef and it is resisted, but he does get the Protect drop. That shouldn't matter though, because Flash Cannon should still be able to OHKO it with from full. He goes for the Earth Power right here, but I am able to live it because of the Shaka Berry, and I am able to fire off a Flash Cannon right now, which should knock this Diancie out. So I go for the 4x super effective Flash Cannon. And as you guys can see, he does live on the slightest amount of HP, so that Protect drop did matter. Apparently he did have some sort of HP investment. I went for the Aqua Jet right here, but he actually scouted for that by going into the Lantern, so that was really smart of him. Aqua Jet isn't able to knock the Lantern out. I probably should have went for the Aqua Jet again, but I kind of thought he would predict that, go into the Kyurem on my Aqua Jet, so I went for the Stealth Rock right here, but he just knocks me out with a Volt Switch. Crit didn't matter, I think. So yeah, these turn of events didn't go too well. The Protect drop did come into play, which kinda sucked, otherwise the Diancie would have been gone, and that would have been huge, since I could just spam Draco then. But the Entei comes in right now. I go into my Gliscor as I'm able to take any of Entei's move, and I just go for the EQ as he goes for the Flare Blitz. I calculated, unless he crits me, I should be able to live this Flare Blitz, and I do live it, so I am able to knock the Entei out with the EQ. So Gliscor picking up 2 kills this match, really putting in work. Entei goes down right here. And now he only has 3 Pokemon left, I'm pretty sure. The Lantern, no 4, Lantern, Kyurem, Diancie and the Persian. He goes into Kyurem right now. I decide to just sack off my Gliscor as it's pretty much done its job and it's kinda low, so yeah, I leave Gliscor in right here, go for the EQ, but he just outspeeds me and goes for the Ice Beam to knock me out. So I'm not sure what kind of set this Kyurem is yet. I kinda think he could be Scarfed, so I decide to go into my Aromatisse right here. It's able to live any of its moves, unless he's Z-move. So he goes for the Ice Beam. I should be able to just live this fine and go for the Moonblast and weaken it for Lopunny in the back. But as you guys can see, he freezes me. And that really sucks, because now I am not able to weaken it for Lopunny. I do get the Citrus Berry recovery though. I go for the Protect right here as it gives me an extra turn to thaw out, but unfortunately I don't thaw, and he is able to go for the Ice Beam again. And yeah, now I pretty much lose my Aromatisse right here because he's able to outspeed me and go for a second Ice Beam. So Aromatisse goes down right here. I wasn't able to get the Moonblast off, and that really sucks because I really needed the damage off against the Kyurem. And I lose my Aromatisse for pretty much nothing. I go into my Lopunny right here as I am able to live an Ice Beam if he's Choice Scarf. And I decide to go right for the High Jump Kick as it's able to knock this thing out. He does switch out though and just sacks off his Lantern. So again, I do think it was better to knock this thing out earlier with the Aqua Jet on Empoleon. That way he had to sack something else. So yeah, I misplayed there. But now the Kyurem comes back in again, so that pretty much confirms this thing is Choice Scarf. I can't take anything else, so I have to switch out right here and decide to sack off my Chandelure. So things really aren't looking too good for me. I have to sack my Pokemon because of the Choice Scarf Kyurem. So the freeze really did come into play. Yeah, Lumiere is in right now as he goes for the Outrage. So he knocks my, my Chandelure out right here. But I do still have a chance to pull this back. If I go into Lopunny right now, go for the Fake Out, flinch him, and he gets a 2-turn Outrage, I might be able to pull this back. So that's what I decide to do. I go for the Fake Out right here. And I am able to flinch this thing, do some damage again. And as you guys can see, he does get a 2-turn Outrage, so he has to switch out. He can't really risk this thing hitting itself in confusion. So I can just go for the High Jump Kick again, knock anything out he wants to send out. So Persian comes in, he sacks the Persian, I go for High Jump Kick, but I miss. And that pretty much causes me to lose the game. Lopunny crashes into the ground, is now really low, so now we can just go into Kyurem after this and just spam Ice Beam, because now I am in range for an Ice Beam. I just went for the High Jump Kick again. But he does reveal the Protect, so Lopunny dies because of recoil. I probably should have scouted for the Protect by going for Return, but because of this miss earlier and the freeze, I was kinda on tilt, so my last remaining Pokemon is the Latios, and yeah, I pretty much lose this game because Latios isn't able to handle his remaining Pokemon, and the Kyurem would just be able to outspeed me and go for Outrage. I go for the Draco right here, but he actually switches out into the Diancie just to preserve differential. So that was a really smart play on my opponent's part. So yeah, I go for the Draco, but he's able to just take it because it's immune. But because I'm Choice Packs, I am locked into the Draco. And yeah, I can touch this thing and he's able to knock me out with the Moonblast. And unfortunately, that is the game. So unfortunately, we do have ourselves our first loss in the P4G against GeneralTarheel and the Charlotte Charizards, a 3-0 loss. Some hacks definitely came into play in this match, the freeze in particular on Aromatisse, that really sucked. The High Jump Kick miss also was kinda unfortunate, but that one didn't really matter as I had pretty much lost the game already at that point. Choice Scarf Kyurem could just clean up my team at that point. It really only made the game closer and we would have lost 2-0 or something like that. And it's also pretty much what you get for running inaccurate moves like High Jump Kick. I think it's the first time we actually missed High Jump Kick, so it eventually had to happen sometime. But yeah, hacks suck, but it's the game we decided to play, nothing can be done about that. And it was still a really good game in my opinion, so GG to GeneralTarheel. Be sure to check out his side of the match on his channel, which is linked down below. Next week we have to face Meadowshea and the Montreal Milotics. He is actually undefeated at the moment, so that isn't really too good for me. Hopefully we'll be able to beat him, but anyway though, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, feel free to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!